The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want their weapon.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
If you're into the paranormal and don't want your illusion or your delusion blown, then I would suggest that you shut this video off and go somewhere else. If you are into dullard style excuses for why things are happening, I would suggest that you go somewhere else. If you suffer from group schizophrenia, I would suggest that you go somewhere else and not watch this video. If you want reality of what's going on, then keep on going. I'm going to tell you right now that it's cool to get the truth about stuff. I was once way into the paranormal myself, and it was a lot of time wasted. Because let me explain something to you. A lot of people come to my channel and they say, you know, it can't all be this. Some of it has to be paranormal. Let's compare this to something. Let's say that hypothetically I was doing a study on dew and condensation of the grass and the plant life of a certain area. And I was going out at 5 and 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, every morning and taking samples of this moisture and taking down my data for months about all this moisture and what was going on with the plant life and all the bioactivity around it, right? And then I found out that the area that I was working in had a sprinkler system that turned on every night at 3 a.m. 3 hours before I got there, and coated the entire place in water. My experiment would be totally junk. The data would be junk. The information would be junk. When your reality and your paranormal realm has been subverted by a technology, there is no way to know what is what. And in all the cases that I've looked at, thousands of audio samples, only one that's ever been sent to me has turned out to be something that I didn't know what it was. It all had the signatures of this technology. Period. This video is about the Horton Mine Mystery. And if you haven't heard of it before, years ago, this guy put this video up, and his thing was to go into different mines and check them out and document. And he went to this particular mine, the Horton Mine, and when he got there, he was getting spooky vibes and these chains that were hanging from the ceiling. One of them was swinging back and forth, and there was a lot of spooky stuff going on. Eventually, he goes into the mine, I believe in the second video, and in that video, you can hear sort of a siren go off and then some weird voices, and he gets basically scared out of the mine. Well, a lot of people have had these crazy explanations for this, from ghosts and goblins and ghouls to drug runners and illegal aliens hiding in the caves, you know, Reddit style logic, you know, crazy stuff. To me, I guess it sounds rational to some of these people out there. To me, it sounded borderline special ed. But I had seen this years and years ago, and I was sent the video by someone again, and then I was sent another video about some of the excuses that were being made about it, and I was cracking up. So at that point, I decided to suck the video down and then really get into the audio. I'd listened to it before, but this time I decided to really get into the audio and check it out. Here's what's going on. People need to understand what's going on in the 21st century. You are being surveilled everywhere you go. And especially when you get off grid, you may think you're alone, but you are being sonically and seismically surveilled. They know you're there when you take steps. You don't have to have an electronic device on you. You don't have to have anything on you. you are seismically being monitored. And especially if you're anywhere near where a military base might be, an underground military base might be, etc. And you can bet your ass that there's all kinds of operations and tech and bases around the Horton mine. I really got into this audio, and I just picked out the clips that are going to blow this out of the water because I had done this a while back. I should check the date. It was months and months ago, maybe even a year ago. But Mr. Ballen just released a video on it, right? This spooky ass mine. I didn't even watch it because I was like, oh, I know all about this mine. And I really do know all about the video that guy made. More about that video than the guy who made it. I mean, I have listened to every second down into the ELF range of the audio, up into the highest frequencies of the audio. And especially when the siren goes off and the voices are there, they are all through the video. You just don't hear them as well. And I want you to really hear this because hopefully it's going to change some minds and get people to understand that this technology is out there and is at work. And for the chains going back and forth in the video, they're magnetic, they're steel. They can manipulate magnetics and anything that is magnetic very, very, very easily. The audio is what's going to really put a nail in this coffin. So let's just get to it. So this guy is walking through a mine way in the back, and then he hears this siren and voices and goes running out. And what was that siren? The siren was an alarm to scare him, but it was also an alert alarm that somebody was within a proximity, and they're going to start using technology to scare him off. And like Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, what are people most afraid of? Ghosts and ghouls and goblins and demons. So here's the siren when he first hears it. I was working on this for a while to get it to really come out so you could hear it. Check it out. This is in the mine when he's way in the back, and it's, you know, ghostly. And that sounds like a military alarm, or someone said it sounds like, you know, the ghost of a European siren or something that I LOL'd about. But check this out. And there's tons of voices in there. There are voices right there. If you can stop on the file and listen, you can catch them. But let me loop the siren for a second so you can get the vibe. That's an alert siren. And man, I'm just killing the vibe of October, aren't I? So let me get down to the brass tacks. Here's a voice. It's right there, right before the alarm goes off. And what it says is, he hasn't come out. It's an ore mine. Now, do you know a ghost or a goblin or a demon that would say that? He hasn't come out. It's an ore mine. I'm going to play a couple versions of this. Check this out. So right there it says, he hasn't come out. I'll loop it. He hasn't come out. And then here it says, it's an ore mine. It's an ore mine. It's an ore mine. It's an ore mine. So I'm going to loop it. He hasn't come out. It's an ore mine. He hasn't come out. It's an ore mine. Now here is a different version. It's been pitched a little bit, so you may hear it differently on different speakers. Don't listen to this on your phone. use decent headphones or earbuds or just decent speakers, something other than something that just has a tweeter. Now listen to this. It says he hasn't come out. It's an ore mine. It's just a different version that's been pitched. He hasn't come out. It's an ore mine. They are surveilling him because he is in proximity of something. This is technology that is everywhere. You are not alone. And for all you criminals out there, you are never alone. When you are out in the middle of the woods, someone knows you're there. And it's not because of your cell phone. Right before he gets to the back of the mine, there's a voice that sounds like a higher pitched thing. Well, after I worked on it, it actually says he wants to see if we can scare him. I'm going to play two different versions of this one to put the nail in the coffin of the Horton Mine Mystery. Here we go. So it's a lower voice, and it says, wants to see if we can scare him. Wants to see if we can scare him. Now I'm going to play a different version of it with it pitched up just a little bit. He wants to see if we can scare him. Wants to see if we can scare him. You think that's ghosts and goblins, or do you think that's drug smugglers or illegal aliens talking in pitches that are out of the human frequency range? They can communicate about you right in front of you, and you can't hear it. And it's actually a two-way communication. And this way, some of you go, well, why would somebody use that? And they use it because all radio communication is logged by lots of agencies out there. And this type of communication isn't logged. Now, this is something that he actually hears, and it sounds like a siren. Like it makes this really weird noise. The voice actually says, run them off. Quickly. I'm going to loop it. Run them off. Run them off. Run them off. It says run them off. Here's a different version of it. It says run them off. Run them off. That's what it says. It's just ridiculous, the things that people come up with, because their brains are still in the 20th century, technology-wise. It's mind-boggling. Here is a voice that asks a question, and it says, what's his purpose? Let me loop this. What's his purpose? And here's a different version of that. What's his purpose? I'm going to loop it. What's his purpose? This is a pulsed communication, and that's why the inflection and delivery of the words is always weird, it's always off, and it always sounds robotic until it enters the sinus cavity or the inner ear of a human being or another animal like a bird. They use this around airports to scare birds away from the runway. It's a pulsed communication. So it says, what's his purpose? And then the other version again. So, run him off. What's his purpose? He wants to see if we can scare him. And he hasn't come out. It's an ore mine. Now here's another clip that says, it's harder to hear this one. The rest of them are very easy for me to hear, at least. But this one says, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. But it's always the same inflection, and this is the same voice. The same voice and the same female voice when the female pops up. that I have pulled out of every recording I've ever heard. It's the same male voice, the same female voice. It changes by very little. Very, very little. I want to show you an example of the pitch that this actually operates at, some of it, unless it's intended to hear. And what this is a lot of noises that sound like noises are really voices, or an instrument, a violin and a cymbal and a hi-hat sound digitally, sped up, all played at once, and then slammed into an area will sound like your wall cracking. Kick drums and snare drums put together and bent pitch-wise will sound like a footstep on your roof. Things like that. There was a guy, Bill Cottle, who was in a hospital and had his walls cracking and making these crazy noises. And when I analyzed the audio of it, it was plainly obvious that it was a MIDI snare and a MIDI hi-hat sound that was being shot into his hospital room. The guy's a veteran, right? Lots of veterans are attacked with this stuff. They use this more than you think. Check out my channel. This is to show you how quickly this can get past somebody. His voice is going to be pitched way low, alright? So check it out. Okay, that's the video maker talking. That's how low this is pitched. And then you're going to hear the "he hasn't come out, it's an ore mine." Okay? He hasn't come out, it's an ore mine. He didn't hear that. They were communicating with each other at that point before they fucking hit him with it and scared the shit out of him. And that's not even him. He's only talking at the very beginning. You hear how it's sing-songy? When you hear the pulse communication, it's always sing-songy. He hasn't come out, it's an ore mine. It's almost like it's being sung, but it's monotone. It's a very, very strange communication. And when you've studied it enough, all these little details and character points really show up. So they keep talking after that, and it's very I want to see him come out. But this 100% says he hasn't come out, it's an ore mine. Come on, man. This is technology. The guy was being surveilled. You are surveilled when you are out alone in deserts, national parks, wherever. You are being surveilled. If you record out there and send it to me, I will send you back proof that you are being surveilled. It's just a fact. I was out in the woods testing recently, and I ran into some very, very interesting audio when I got it home and played it back. In fact, I'll show you. So very recently, within the past couple weeks, I was outside by myself at night with a recorder, USB recorder to be exact. Just a guy outside by himself. So here's the audio of that exact recording, just adjusted a little bit, showing you what is really there. Let's listen to it for a second. Oh, that almost sounded like CB communication almost. Now this is a recorder that is just a typical USB recorder. It has no wireless capabilities, nothing. There's a interesting, right? Play a little bit. right there, it almost sounds like there's a broken fax machine in the recording. Check that out. Or like an old printer, an old 90s printer going back and forth. So here I am, all by myself, and here I am ruining October, but a ghostly voice tells me that I hate America. It says, "You hate America," and it's down in the recording, but listen. You hate America. Now let me play a different version of that. You hate America. You hate America. It's strangely just like the voices from the mine, except that guy's out in the desert and I'm way over in the Midwest on the Great Lakes. So let's check out a different version of that. You hate America. You hate America. So that's really interesting. I'm by myself and a voice comes over my USB recorder and says, "You hate America." And his recordings have voices talking about scaring him off. He's in an ore mine and blah, 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 blah. Here is one final version of that. You hate America. I don't hate America. And the purpose of me showing you my own audio was to show you that when you're out there alone, you're not alone. And what this guy picked up wasn't some freak occurrence. It happens every time you are out there. In your yard, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of anywhere. And if you use a recorder, you are capturing evidence. So when you're watching spooky videos like the Horton Mine Mystery, just remember this line right here. He hasn't come out, it's an ore mine. An ore mine. Are they ghosts? Hell no. And that's about it. Look out for Charlie.